Our last review of the day is going to be for the film Snow White. Snow White is the latest of the live action Disney remakes here. This time they're adapting, of course, Snow White, as the movie suggests there. Now, I have never seen the 1937 Snow White.
Mhm.
Have you, any of you guys seen it?
I saw it a long time ago when I was a little kid, but I haven't revisited it a lot.
What about you, Dustin?
A couple of years back, I just decided to do a few movies from the older Walt Disney era just to see.
Mm,
It's been a while though, but from what I recall, it's still impressive
Mhm.
even now. A lot of the
Yeah,
animation is just incredible.
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah. Because prior to this, I think I remember having a conversation with a couple animator friends, and what this movie did for animation, it's essentially what Jurassic Park did for CGI, where it just upped the level of animation because characters weren't this expressive prior to Snow White.
Mm, nice. Good animation history there. But yes, but Snow White is one of those things. I mean, it's been adapted many, many different times
Mhm.
before. From Disney, there was the Julia Roberts movie Mirror Mirror. There was that there where Julia Roberts played the evil queen, and then I think it
Mhm.
was Lily Collins who played the princess in that.
Yeah, Lily Collins was the princess in that, and that's the one where they had actual dwarves play the seven dwarves. And then there was also Snow White and the Huntsman, which was the action movie for the Twilight crowd.
Yeah, Snow White and the Huntsman, which we had Kristen Stewart, who was the Snow White, and then you had Charlize Theron, who was the evil queen there. That was the CW Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones version of Snow White there. You also had the movie with Sigourney Weaver, where she was the evil queen, where it was Snow White, a tale of terror there. You had that kind of going on. So yeah,
All infinitely better choices for the evil queen than Gal Gadot.
yeah. And we're going to get into Gail Gadot. So it's the Gadot. I always thought it was Gadot, so it's Gadot apparently. Okay, I always thought it was Gadot, but yeah, we're gonna get into her in a minute. So in this movie here, who's playing the new Snow White and new evil queen? You have Rachel Zegler there, who's the new Snow White, and you have Gadot there, who's the evil queen. And it basically follows if you know Snow White and you know the
Mhm.
basic premise of Snow White. It hits all those pretty much same beats. You got an evil bitch stepmother who comes in, who marries the princess's father. Then he ends up dying, and she ends up taking over and
Mhm.
then rules the kingdom with an iron fist. And it's up to Snow White to fight back against the evil queen and to save her homeland and to save all the townspeople there under the evil rule of the queen. Basically, yeah, if you've seen Snow White before, it basically hits all those same beats before.
Mhm.
And this is directed by Marc Webb. People might know Marc Webb. He directed 500 Days of Summer, which I loved a lot. I love 500 Days of Summer.
Mhm.
I love that movie. Ever since then, not have been a fan of anything he's done. He did the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Not a fan of that. He did also what was the other something he did before
He
that?
did that Chris Evans movie Gifted, which I actually like that movie quite a bit, and also The Only Living Boy in New York.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one. Gifted, I think I did. I think I did see that one. I was kind of mailing it. But yeah, Mark Webb, who did that, I don't think anything he's done has been as good as 500 Days of Summer. So yeah, so he's the one directing this. And like Nick was saying before the review, there, this movie, much like with a lot of Disney stuff going on, embroiled in controversy there of the decisions some of the people made, some of the actors, and then some of the interviews there. Rachel Zegler. I don't know for some reason people hate Rachel Zegler for some reason.
Mhm.
But yeah, you kind of got that kind of going
For some reason,
on. I don't really know exactly what the reason why people don't like Rachel Ziegler.
Mhm.
I guess she said something rude in an interview or something.
she said, this is not part of the review, but yeah,
Uh,
she's made certain comments that had not sit well with fans of the original film, and
and people pretending to care about the original film.
Oh,
sure, but
the diehard Snow White fans there. Okay.
Mhm.
hey,
Uh,
there are diehard Disney fans
Yeah, I know this Disney adults. I know that
Yeah.
there's
However, listening to that interview, she wasn't wrong. There are a lot of things in the original Snow White that didn't really age great, like with the that story. It's basically Snow White is less of a character and it's more focused on the animation.
yeah. And that's the thing when they do these adaptations, these live action remakes, and some of these Disney princesses, is that some of them don't
Mhm.
really, when you watch the original versions of them, they don't really have a lot going on personality wise. So you got to
Mhm.
like kind of update it to make them a little bit more
Mhm.
of characters. It feels like they try to do that. They try to do that a lot with Belle and the Beauty and the Beast movie. They tried to make her like this genius inventor, and Belle can make all
Yep.
these things and do all this.
And yeah, and in the Aladdin remake, where Princess Jasmine's goal was to become an evil dictator.
Yeah, she was gonna be like Michelle Yeoh in Section 31. She was like, I'm gonna be the new emperor, I'm gonna be there. So yeah, they try to more update it there to fit more modern times there. They've done that. That was kind of also a big thing about this movie is that hey, this is gonna be a Snow White for more of the modern times, modern generation here. Except I don't know really what's that modern about it. Like I said, it's the same beats as the other Snow White
Yeah,
films.
it's the same beats that you get in a lot of Snow White films, but just comparing this to the original, they flesh out a little bit more of her parents' backstory, a little bit more fleshed out of how the queen came to be in power.
Yeah. Yeah, and Rachel Zegler, I don't know. I don't know if that movie's cursed or not, but West Side Story, because it's like Ariana DeBose and then her. It's like I love them both in that movie, but ever
Mhm.
since then, it's just been like terrible shit after terrible shit. Like,
Whoa, 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 whoa,
well, Hunger
whoa.
Games was okay. Hunger,
Ariana DeBose, I'll give you that. But Rachel Zegler, okay, terrible shit. Then I liked Hunger Games a lot, and then this.
okay. I didn't see that movie Y2K, but I heard that wasn't all that
Yeah,
great.
great premise, bad ladder execution. That movie
Ooh.
unfortunately got chopped up. It
Yeah,
originally had a different vibe to it, and it got chopped up by the release.
Oh
They forcibly
man.
changed it.
and then she was in the Shazam 2 sequel, which was really
Ooh.
weak. She was in that
I
one.
mean, people barely even remember her in
Ooh.
that movie. People
Yeah.
barely remember that movie at all.
Yeah. And I didn't see that animated movie Spell. I didn't see that Spellbound. I did not see that. But yeah, so yeah, beautiful voice. I mean, beautiful voice. Rachel, I think she's got a really great voice there. I think like I said, really shine and really impressed there in West Side Story, and I think she impresses here with a lot of the songs that she's able to deliver here in Snow White. It's one of the few things I think that's actually good about the movie. Hunter from Real Pineapple said Dust couldn't put the review better for Y2K. It's yeah, LOL there. So you have that. So I think if you are going to say, one of the positive things about this movie, I think Rachel Zegler is kind of probably
Mm.
going to be one of the positive things to say
Yeah,
about that.
she is giving a great performance opposite a lot of CGI nothing and also Gal Gadot.
Yeah. And also combating the fact that she looks like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Also combating that. She
Yeah, that wig they gave her is not doing her any favors.
and I know they're trying to make her look like
Yeah,
Snow White.
they're trying to make her look like the character from the animation, but yeah, it yeah, she's looking at she's looking a little Lord Farquaadish.
Yeah. But I guess you could say, I mean, because the queen does make her cut her hair. So I guess you could say maybe the queen does it
Uh,
on purpose to make her look ugly. That she
oh
wants
yeah.
to be the most beautiful person in all the land. So I guess you could say you can kind of work at that as an excuse,
Or
maybe.
maybe that was something they added in post.
What the hair? Oh,
Oh, so yeah, no, I totally cut her hair to.
oh, yeah. So I mean, if you want to give a explanation of why it looks so terrible, I guess you can throw that in there. Of why it looks bad. But yeah. So get around, get you guys' thoughts on there. Dusk. What are your thoughts here on the Snow White film?
Uh, okay, this one's kind of hard. As a concept of remaking movies, I've never been a fan of the live action Disney
Mhm,
remakes, anyways. To
mhm.
me, they're superfluous. There's no point to them. You already have the originals. There's really no point in retreading ground of ideas and concepts that you had already worked on. Make something new. Don't just retread the ground. Now, I'd say the earlier ones were a little more successful, but once they got
at least with a lot of the earlier ones, they were a lot of films that were had kind of fallen out of the zeitgeist.
Sure.
Sleeping Beauty, that movie was like over like 80, 90 years old.
Sure.
But once they started remaking the movies that were like 90s, like
instant classics. That
Mulan, Beauty and the
Mulan.
Beast,
Oh yeah, that
Little Mermaid.
one was god awful. All of them are awful in their own way. The only one like Snow. I'm sorry. The one you mentioned earlier.
Little Mermaid.
No,
the
not
Beast.
fuck no.
Mulan.
Sleeping Beauty.
Oh.
Sleeping Beauty was one of the earlier ones. That not or whatever that one. That oh my god, I'm blanking. The one with the glass slipper.
Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The one you mentioned earlier. Okay. Oh my god, I blanked out for a second. There's too many. There's too many
of them
movies.
now.
There's two of them now. Cinderella was all right, and then the one with the oh my god, Jungle Book. The Jungle Book one was actually kind of interesting, and that was not too bad. It had its problems, but it was at least trying. Everything else past that was just retreading ground, and even those ones arguably retreading ground, but they were at least older ones, weren't really talked about, and they were trying to do something a little different while doing something this. This one especially has been marred with problems. It from its production problems to its multiple reshoots to it just has so many bad elements that has been working against it. And honestly, unfortunately, you can tell in this movie. There are rearrangements of songs here. Some of them are just the classics, but they're all right. Sang fine enough by oh my god,
Rachel Zegler.
Yes, Rachel.
Yeah, by Rachel Zegler and
Zegler.
And the dwarves.
Yeah, about those dwarves.
It's like Robert Zemeckis met that CGI Winnie the Pooh from Christopher Robin, and they had a fucking incest baby of nightmare fuel, because that is what the dwarves look like in this.
It was honestly nightmarish, and the person who decided to make all the dwarves CGI not only wasted hundreds of millions of dollars, they could have just got actors to do it. I know Tyrion Lannister basically made a comment.
Peter Dinklage was basically a pull the ladder up from behind him.
From behind the other actors, the other dwarf actors. Shame on him.
Damn. Peter Dinklage was Uncle Dwarf there. Damn.
Yeah, he pretty much was. He screwed over his fellow dwarf actors and took roles that could have made a newer career. Could have had another Peter Dinklage, Tyrion Lannister moment where if they had done this movie correctly. But unfortunately, that's just the small part of the problems with this movie. Look, Rachel Zegler, aside from all the controversy and the fact that she kept opening her mouth and saying a lot of dumb crap, she's young, relatively young, and she got brought up to stardom because of the West Side Story. I'm giving the biggest benefit of the doubt as I possibly can for young people saying stupid shit and not having, and also it being overblown. That's fine. I got nothing against it. I have no dog in that fight. But even still, when she's barely the best thing about this movie, you got problems. Because
she's the best thing in it, but there is the margin is not as wide as we are trying to make it sound.
Yeah,
Hunter trying to make a little guy joke. He's saying,
fuck you, fuck you, Hunter.
It's fine.
Yeah, the dwarves are disturbing. I mean, I got a little bit used to them as the movie went on.
They are pure nightmare fuel.
They are very disturbing. There's no life behind the eyes.
None at all.
There were kids in my screening of it when I saw it today, and it took every fiber of my being to not scream, "Oh fuck!" when they popped up on screen.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit used to it as maybe the movie goes on. Maybe
you got used to it.
I don't know. I mean, I got a little bit used to it, I guess, as the movie was going on.
Well, there is like a part in the second act of this movie where they kind of forget about the dwarves in favor of this other merry band of 7 bandits that I guess were left over from a different version of this film where the
Yes.
dwarves weren't in it at all.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So the prince is in this, and the prince, instead of being a traditional prince, he's basically it's Robin Hood. He's basically
I mean, he's not a prince at all.
Yeah, he's not a prince
Yeah,
at
He's
all.
just a thief.
He's a rogue who's
He's a
very
handsome thief,
star-like.
but he's a thief.
Yeah.
Because that makes it all better. Because I bet you if he was butt ugly,
Hey, you can forgive a lot of crime. Hey, people are willing to forgive a lot of crimes
Unfortunately,
if they
yes.
are hot.
no, it is correct. You are correct, sir.
Yeah. Who's in this? So yes, he's he's basically
Yeah,
Robin Hood, and he's got his own merry band.
And he's played by Andrew Burnap, who was just in The Front Room last year. He was also the voice of Laramie's in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay. Nice. So yeah, you have that. They don't have zero chemistry. Him and Rachel Zegler, I didn't feel any real connection, chemistry there between them.
Yeah, they have a musical number, which a lot of the newer music in this is done by Justin Paul and Benji Pasek, who wrote the music for Dear Evan Hansen and are one of the few EGOTs that we have. And yeah, none of these songs are really hitting.
Yeah, very forget. Sometimes they'll do that. They'll add in new songs with the original classic songs everybody knows. I didn't really remember them that well. I don't think any of them was that striking of like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna listen to this afterwards. Yeah, I don't think it has anything kind of going on there. I've seen some reviews there of like this is one of the better Disney live action remakes.
Oh God,
I mean, the bar isn't high.
I don't think it's better than Little Mermaid. I think.
Oh hell no.
I don't think, and that one I wasn't even too high on, but I think that
it was like
Little Mermaid was.
Yeah, Little Mermaid. I was like, okay, this is fine, but I was expecting much worse.
Yeah, that's what's saying. I mean, I think the best one of these is the Jungle Book film. I think still is the gold standard is the Jungle Book film, and what they kind of did with that. And here with the Snow White film, they said which is fine. You want to do more of a modern thing with it. I didn't really get that much modernness with it. Okay, you threw in some black people in here. You got extra black people in this.
I think the more modern sensibility is Snow White. Her drive in this is to take back to free the kingdom from her stepmother's tyranny. It's to take her rightful place as the ruler of this land. And I guess that's what they mean when they talk about this movie's more updated sensibilities.
Yeah, socialism.
And at least with
kind of,
something like Snow White and the Huntsman, at least this. Oh, that's not Snow White and the Huntsman.
I would have rather watched that movie.
At least this had a good, at least it did something different. At least it was kind of like it was like dark fantasy.
It had a different take. It is very it's more dark fantasy, and you actually bought Charlize Theron as the evil queen.
And she played a great evil king, and it's like okay, it's and then look at the covered in milk that she feeds to the giving them butt milk. Got that. And yeah, it's more of like this dark fantasy kind of element here. Snow White is like Joan of Arc, and she's leading this revolution here and everything like that. Like that's kind of like it's something. It's kind of cool. It's kind of different, at least there than her interpretation of Snow White. Here it's like I said, it's like okay, telling the same story, not really much good spin on it.
Yeah, there isn't much of a spin on it, and any of those story beats, it feels more like lip service than anything else.
Yeah. Hunter said, damn, you love Moana. Damn, Moana 2, man, maybe you really got to seek your love.
He's saying he hates Moana 2.
Yeah, Moana 2, the song's worse than Moana 2.
All right.
I like
You've never heard the first movies. Congratulations. You've heard the soundtrack for this, but maybe not as strong. And then they added some new songs, and none of those are good.
I think I don't think they're as good as Moana. And Moana 2, I don't
Princess Problems.
I don't think.
Oh, that's going to be a classic. I can't wait for all the kids to be singing Princess Problems. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I mean, like none of the songs hit except for the original ones. That's it.
What about Gal Gadot? Yeah. We're going to talk about Gal Gadot.
Oh, hell no.
Gal Gadot.
It's like, the woman cannot act. She cannot sing. She delivers all of her lines with the emotional range of a block of wood. How she got this role?
Because she's beautiful.
She does. I mean, physically, she looks like the evil queen. I mean, physically, she's got it down.
Although I don't know why she would be jealous of Snow White, and they even give a reason. They had to remake a reason why she would even be jealous, because it's like, oh no, she's the most fair. What do you mean fair? Is like fair? You mean beautiful? Oh no, I didn't mean beautiful. I just meant fair, as in she can fairly give things, I suppose.
Well,
Which is not what the original meant, but sure.
But she is awful. Every time it cut to her, I mean, I'm not even. I mean, really, just awful all the way around. In that, like when she's singing, she's so over exaggerated. It seems like that would maybe work.
Like there is a. I think they do that because the villain songs are always like meant to be a little bit more bombastic, but she doesn't have the vocal range to carry it.
Yeah,
it's like you need an actor who, one can sing, but who can also have that larger than life presence when you're doing one of these villain songs.
Yeah, and she does not have that at all in here. And like every time it cut to her, even when she was just doing normal dialogue, she was still terrible. Even the first scene.
It was like, how are you this bad at wanting to murder children, allegedly?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Should have a lot of experience. IDF, you should have a lot of experience. But yeah, I mean,
allegedly.
But like, just look at like a little bit of this. I'm gonna show like a clip of her doing a little bit of it.
It's like, you're a bad actor when Watch Mojo, which is like one of the least biting media channels, has a compilation of all of your worst line deliveries.
Yeah, like
you got a lot to choose from.
There's that compilation is long.
Yeah. Let me just like
Kal-El, no.
Like even just this is I think this is one of her first scenes in the movie right here, and this is bad. Let me play a little bit of this.
Please. You were saying.
It's just, Your Majesty, people are struggling, and it may not be much, but when I was young, my parents and I would pick apples. We'd take them and make pies, then go out into the village.
Pies are luxuries. They don't need luxuries. It confuses them.
But yeah, that just is like, what the fuck? I mean, and I'm not trying to really,
is this supposed to be played straight? Or is this like supposed to be a parody? This feels like if somebody made a female Tommy Wiseau.
That. So anytime they cut to her, I was like, oh, this is terrible. I was like, that it just weakened the movie even more. And also the movie just has such a small feel to it. Like it just feels not that big, not that expansive. When she runs into the forest and goes somewhere, it's like it just feels like she went down the block. It doesn't even feel like she went that far.
Because there's this whole element of waiting on the Queen's guards to like come and find her. It's like you just walk next door. It's like just down the road.
Yeah. And apparently this budget on this movie was huge. Apparently it's reported at $250 to $270 million.
Oh, with all of the production trouble that this evidently went through, with all the different versions of this film that are apparently out there on the cutting room floor, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. I guess we can give our final thoughts rating on it. Nick, final thoughts rating for Snow White.
I think Rachel Zegler, she is a person to watch. I think every time she is on screen and given the opportunity to sing, even if the songs aren't written well, she is giving a great vocal performance. I feel like she has a lot of presence as Snow White, and she brings that that kindness and caring nature to that character that you kind of need for Snow White. Gal Gadot as the evil queen. Damn it, I don't want to say a lot. Some of this movie's biggest problems could have been solved if you cast somebody who had some actual, screen presence, or, some vocal talent, or, just talent at all, instead of Gal Gadot. But besides that, this movie's, structure and its pace are so weird. There's an entire part in the second act where they kind of forget about the dwarves, which on one level I was kind of thankful for because, again, nightmare fuel with how they look. But on another, it kind of felt like this movie kind of forgot what it was for at least a solid third of it. Their chemistry between her and Jonathan, who is based on the prince, who is like her one true love, they don't have any chemistry.
I was about to say, what chemistry?
They don't have any. Even like when he does kiss her after she eats the poison apple, it's like she can be saved by true love's kiss, which, okay, y'all met like yesterday.
Okay, so I'm going to add on top of that, her first line after all the tragic moments of, okay, how are they going to interpret this scene where the prince kisses Snow White? Because that's a fairly important part in all fairy tale versions of it, even all this, the most important moment. He just looks like sad and kind of like, kisses her in the most lackadaily way possible. And her first words out of her mouth aren't, oh my God, I'm alive, or, oh, my prince, it's a prince, or whatever. It goes, the queen murdered my father. Okay.
Okay,
that's your first line out of your mouth.
I get that a lot has happened since she was last conscious, and that's probably the biggest thing on her mind.
Yeah, sure. It's just that made me realize
on that level, I get it, but I also understand.
As a movie, and as a movie, and I'm going to be perfectly honest in this.
Mm-hmm.
Disney was created by their interpretation and work on Snow White. Mm-hmm. Their studio, the foundations, everything that built this company. Walt Disney put his blood, sweat, and tears, and usually that's a metaphor. He put all three of those physically into his work. He bet his house, he bet his money, he bet everyone. Everyone told him he was crazy for doing a animated movie special. He built a dynasty that new people have been carrying on for their entire process. And this is the movie, this is the story that built your company. Why isn't this story the greatest effort you made? Why is this not top tier? Why is this not another Boulder? I mean, regardless, I think you should never even bother to touch it. This should be the golden goose you never touch and you leave it alone. But since you're going to go there and make a remake of it, it better be the best goddamn fucking thing you ever make.
They done
it better be.
Snow White too, but I mean,
like this movie's just, if you take all that crap away, all the thing around it, it's below average. It's just all right. You can listen to the original songs. You can watch the movie in half the time that you watch this. And the acting goes from okay to just downright laughable. So I guess my real question at the end of this is, who is this for?
Yeah, because it's
money.
I mean, you would say maybe you try to make these movies more for like the little kids who've never seen it, but it's not that interesting. I don't think they'd be that interested in this, even if it was for the little kids. And then even people who love the story of Snow White, I don't think they're going to be that impressed with this.
There's no romance, so the little girl to teenage girl to grown-up women audience gets nothing. There's no focus on that. There's no real focus on Snow White being Snow White fully as a character. We only get bits and bobs. They actually do the best they can to actually limit her time by shifting it over to the prince and bandits and everything else, and even giving a flashback to when she was a little girl. Which, you know what? I'll give the faintest praise. That little girl who acted, that was the priest Snow White, she actually acted pretty well, and she has a good singing voice. Good for her.
We'll look the part. I said none of these remakes have been better than the OG. Well, Jungle Book. I like Jungle Book.
I didn't like them, but they're not better.
I like Jungle Book better. But that's about it. Yeah. Nick, did you give your rating already? Did you say?
I was expecting a massive shit show, and I kind of got that. And this movie, there's nothing, even the elements of this that I think are done well. I liked Rachel Zegler's performance. Yeah, that's about it. That's the only thing I can actually say that I liked about this movie. I liked the idea of, fleshing out a lot of her backstory, a lot of characters that you couldn't have done in the original animation, but none of it adds anything new to my viewing experience that I couldn't have gotten from just watching the original. The acting, like you said, Rachel Zegler is pretty good in this, and everyone else is serviceable, and Gal Gadot is just awful. Which, if you're like secondary lead of this movie, which is Gal Gadot as the evil queen, if she isn't carrying it, then your movie kind of falls apart. And also the horrific CGI of them dwarves. I'm going to see those in my nightmares, and because of them, I do not sleep tonight.
I'm gonna get you
So
both.
I can only give this movie a skip it because there's nothing in this that made me angry like I usually give with the movies that do actively piss me off.
Wow, Hunter guessed right. He guessed you would give it a skip. You gave it a skip. There, yeah. Dust, what about you? What's your rating?
I didn't hate this movie, but it doesn't deserve to exist. So, and the fact that your competition was the landmark animated movie that made all other animated movies possible, and that's what you're up against, and this is what you deliver. This is a waste of fucking film.
Damn.
Just on principle. It's a waste of film.
Hunter
It's a waste
guessed right
of time.
Damn. Hunter is 2 for 2.
That's fine. And you know what? Again, and this is one of the few times I've given a waste of fucking film without any hate or anger towards it, but just based on principle. Just on principle, this thing's a waste of film. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. You know what? You want to watch a different Snow White movie? Go watch Snow White and the Huntsman. At least it's weird and different. Yeah. Go watch the original. You're not going to get anything better from here. The best thing Rachel Zegler can hope for after this, honestly, the bomb after bomb that she's been in, aside from like one movie,
aside from Hunger Games,
the Hunger Games, like that movie. She says she's going to move on to do Broadway. Good, go do Broadway.
Yeah,
I want nothing but the best for you. Go and do Broadway.
Yeah, you're ridiculously talented. Do Broadway. Step away from Hollywood for a couple years and get yourself a better agent, baby girl.
Yeah.
So keep your mouth shut.
I keep pissing off them Disney though. I like that.
Yeah, no. Keep pissing off the audience and see.
Either get some media training or keep pissing them off. Go ahead.
Grown man mad at fucking Snow White. Come on now. 42 years old. You mad at the girl.
Men and women, come on. Let's be fair.
And old ass women too.
Old ass women too. Come on, you gotta be fair.
But yeah, so like everybody said, I mean, it's kind of like a lame duck, like a lot of these Disney live action remakes are. Really nothing there that kind of matches the original film of it. Like I said, only like one of these, it was Jungle Book, and then the rest have been kind of either terrible or it's passable as a movie. This is bordering on passable. That's about it, as best I can say for it. If you are going to watch this movie for any reason, it might be for Rachel Zegler there. I do think she's decent in the film there, amongst all the terrible things kind of going on, amongst kind of the terrible direction here, amongst Gal Gadot there, who's also very terrible in this movie. She tries to do this. I mean, I don't think it's a fault of hers there. So yeah, I mean, for me, I would also just kind of, it's just not really worth it. Even if you would have watched this maybe on Disney Plus, I don't think it's kind of worth it. So I would also I'm with Nick, I'd give it a skip it as well. Like if you kind of put more of a, like you said, do something with that kind of, hey, like we're trying to update this, do something at least modern with it. I mean, I don't want the movie to be like this, but if you were able to kind of do something with like the plot of like the substance, like the themes and kind of that, and added it to Snow White about beauty and about young women versus old women and society pitting against each other. Like if you did something maybe along those lines, maybe that would have been you would have had something different and good interpretation on Snow White that would have been different from other adaptations.
I mean, you could just watch many of the live action versions in German that Germany has made. There are plenty of good interpretations that they've made, just like when the Mulan live action remake came out. Like you got plenty of great Mulan movies in China.
Yeah.
You want Beauty and the Beast? You can watch the original La Belle La Bête
Mhm.
or other live action versions that they've done since in French.
And also, it's kind of fun to keep bagging on Gal Gadot, but Dennis Quaid eating shrimp in that movie is more evil than anything she does in this.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I just give it a skip it. A large part of the reason because I don't want to have Hunter get 3 for 3. So I'm gonna make him piss him off and not give him 3 for 3.
You
So yeah,
catty bitch.
yeah. So Dust
He
gives
didn't.
it.
He didn't. You didn't want to give it into the real pineapple. You're like, I was gonna. You son of a gun.
He was about to.
And then I realized, oh shit, he's got me pegged. At least I'm honest.
But yeah. So skip it for me. Skip it from Nick, and Dust gives it a waste of fucking film there for Snow White.
Boy, did you waste your time.